disappointing.
All right, good morning and good afternoon, good evening to you. My name is Sherman Crancer, and welcome to the Voice of the Microsoft Partner, brought to you by the Crancer Group. You know, we specialize in managing the Microsoft Partner of tomorrow. Today, I think we're going to have a really great event here. Let me go ahead and get my over on the wrong piece here. All right, perfect. Let me just go ahead and get back into it. So today we're going to have a great discussion. We're going to start with a little bit of an introduction. We're going to get into a small piece. We do a lot of these things called ISV showcases, and you've heard me talk about this great program called Surveil. It's an asset management tool. To show you how to drive revenue. And what's really important today, I'm going to show you how we're making $3,500 an hour on a couple of deals that we did just to test this out. It's really something else. So we'll show that to you. Then we're going to get into the evolution of the Microsoft Partner Program. If you've been part of my shows in the past, you know I kind of loathe putting together a lot of slides. I've worked at Microsoft for 5 years, and I think I was a professional PowerPoint maker. And back then, they used to do 165 slides, and expect us to be able to deliver that in 30 minutes, and people can't. But today I do have about 5 different slides that we're going to talk about. With that being said, we'll do the evolution of the partner program. It's about 5 slides, and then we're going to do Q&A. We've got a great roundtable today, that we're going to be talking to about 5 or 6 different speakers, asking their questions. But as this call is created, it's the voice of the Microsoft Partner. So what we would like you to do is do 2 things. One, please put your questions in the chat window if you feel comfortable with that, right? And we'll see what we can answer. And number 2, we have different polling today. We have 4 or 5 different polls that we're going to throw out to basically, put your thoughts on a poll. Now, we do not share who says what with anyone. Okay, so feel comfortable, we will not share that. But what we do is we will go back and talk to Microsoft and say, hey, this is what some people feel about what's going on. And that's really what's really neat about this. So that's what the agenda today. Before we get into it, I also want to talk about the next 2 dates. We have next month, we're going to be talking about advanced specializations, which is really great because it compounds on top of what we're talking about today. So Kelly Piper from Microsoft, the Power Platform Group, she's going to be coming in, and we're going to be talking to her. But then after that, in June, we have a great speaker, Jonathan Davis, who heads up security for Microsoft. He's coming out of Finland. He's going to be on our show. We saw him at the Directions Conference, and he's going to be talking about what's next in cybersecurity for Microsoft. That one's going to be so cool too. So we're lining these things up. It's really neat, and we really do appreciate first and foremost your attendance here. So with that being said, we do have some guest speakers here, and if the guest speakers could go ahead and turn on your camera, I'd like you guys to just introduce yourselves here. We have, just one second, so we have these great ones. We'll start with David. David, would you mind just introducing yourself real quick to the group?
Absolutely. I'm going to try to talk over the chiming. I know each time that chimes, we fade in and out, but thank you so much, Sherman, for asking me to participate. My name is David Gerstin. I've been active in the channel for about 15 years. Currently, my role is National Partner Manager at VersaPay. We're an ISV Connect, and I own our global relationship with Microsoft. So real excited to be part of today's call. Thanks so much.
All right. Let's go over to I think Mark's just coming in here. So why don't we just move over to Jeff DiMaria. Jeff, would you mind go ahead and introduce yourself, and then Mark, I will elevate Mark up there.
Excellent. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Really excited to be working with the Crancer Group. I'm Jeffrey DiMaria. I'm the Director of Partner Enablement with the Stratus Cloud Alliance. I really help get partners engaged with our team to help deliver the full cloud solution stack. So very excited to be here, and thank you for having us as a guest.
Fantastic. Peter? Before this, actually, Peter, 1 second. Hey, team, could you go into the settings of this and just allow everybody in, please? So this way we don't have to get that bubble that keeps going up. Probably kind of a pain in the butt, but let's go to Peter. Peter.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm with Zamba. Someone put together a Zumba. That's fine, whatever. Call me whatever you want. I've been in the channel for 15 years or so. Our focus is working with partners to bring Dynamics CRM, the CE product, to their customers. So we're very partner focused. I talk with a lot of different partners, channel guy through thick and thin. So like this program impact really hits me and hits all my partners. So I'm really glad that Sherman and the team have put together this conversation so we can all address this.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Stuart, want to go ahead and do that? Stuart? Stuart Blakemore?
There we go.
Yeah,
Hi.
there we go.
There we go. Someone had to be on mute. Hello, my name's Stuart Blakemore. I'm based over in the UK. Really glad to be here. I look after sales for Surveil, and it's my job to roll out the power of the analytics that we're delivering to Microsoft partners.
Fantastic. And then just go over to Mark Benton real quick.
Yeah, this is Mark Benton with Systems Engineering. We're an MSP out of Portland, Maine, with a good book of business in the northern New England area and a good sized Microsoft practice.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and get in there. Really appreciate that. Let me get to the next next thing. We're going to talk about how to drive revenue with an ISP solution. So many of you know me. We have these spotlights here and there. However, what we did recently is we showed you, I think back in November, this tool called Surveil, and it's an Microsoft Azure and Office 365 asset optimization tool. It's a first of its kind, okay? And it's really something else. And what today I want to show you though is I think there was a lot of interest in looking at it, but a lot of people couldn't figure out, well, how do you make money with it? And that's where I think what we're going to kind of shift our gears is we're not going to show you a new ISP solution, but we're going to show you actually how to make money with it, right? Which is I think the better way of doing that, so that you can kind of conceptualize that. So we basically have this tool, and Stuart, if I could just ask you, how would you describe this tool, to a partner if they came up to you? How do you describe it? Maybe tell us a little bit about the licensing model.
Sure. So, Surveil's a read-only, born in the SaaS world tool. It delivers insight to optimize, secure, and control 365 and Azure environments in all the usual guises, in EA, pay-as-you-go, CSP. And fundamentally, partners can use it to win and then underpin new managed services for their customers. And it frees up budget with their existing clients that they can repurpose into margin.
Okay, and then what would you say is the target size of customer that you think that this tool really works with?
Well, there's a lot of benefit across a lot of sizes, but we do have a kind of sweet spot that grows with scale. So it really kicks in about 150 users and above. But the other thing to say really is that multi-tenant and multi-region, that's really a happy hunting ground for us as well. Fundamentally, wherever there's complexity, we can find scope to optimize.
That's fantastic. Okay, well, let me do this. So I changed cameras here to make it a little bit easier. Because what I wanted to do is actually take a look at this calculator, so I can kind of give you an idea of this. So let me just paint the picture here. We actually worked with a major bank. It was kind of they came to one of our events and they said, hey, Sherman, we'd like to, at one of our Azure events, cost optimization events, and we kind of did like 10 minutes on this Surveil tool, and they said, well, yeah, we want to do this. And I said, oh, okay, no problem. What it does, it's a read-only access to your Azure environment. And I said, well, tell me first, how many licenses do you have, right? And they came up, they told us, well, we have 7,000 licenses, okay? We have 6,000 people, but we have 7,000 licenses, and for some reason, we can never seem to figure out why we don't have any licenses available, right? And then I said, well, how much Azure do you have, right? And they said, well, our Azure consumption was about $120,000 a month. And I said, well, fantastic. Let me go ahead and plug in some numbers here. And so what the tool does, it basically just sits there. It's read-only access into the licensing environment. Now, what is really neat about this is they asked, okay, well, what's the engagement? And I said, well, the first thing that we do is we install it and we let it go for 3 weeks. Okay, just let it go for 3 weeks. It's managing telemetry, read-only access and licensing. And then after 3 weeks, we give them a report. And they said, okay, great. And they said, okay, well, what's the engagement cost? And this is where the rubber hits the road. And I said, let me tell you what it does. They said there's either a one-time engagement cost where we do a percentage of the savings. So whatever we find you, let's say we find you 30% savings. So we want 30% savings of your whole licensing. Well, we're going to charge you a 40% one-time cost. 40% of that savings we're going to show you. And then they said, well, what about a 1 year and 3 year agreement? I said, well, on a 1 year agreement, it's a 75. I didn't tell them this, but in my mind, it was a 75% profit margin over what the cost of the licensing was. And then on a 3 year agreement, I said, look, the cost is X. And in my mind, it was a 50% profit margin. Okay, so just think about this for a moment, okay? So if you take a look at the calculator here, what I want you to take a look at on the left-hand side, and this is where it really just like, oh my gosh. So they had 7,000 licenses, right? And what we did here is we took a look at the cost for the Surveil tool, which was $4,000 a month, okay? $4,000 a month. And then with that 50% profit margin on a 3 year, we would charge them an extra $4,000. So the total cost was $8,966 a month. Okay, basically what I'm going to do, and the total annual cost over here of $107. So that's on a 3 year agreement. But let me show you something. What if I were to actually do a 75% profit margin, which was on a 1 year agreement, right? And now, what do you do for that 1 year? What you do is you spend 2 hours a month on this client, where you download all of the information, right? All the optimization reports before your meeting, and you spend one hour a month with the actual client to say, hey, this is what you have. So we're charging them on a 1 year agreement a total of 17 grand per month, okay? But now you might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of money. But let me show you something over here. So what I did is I created the tool to figure out, well, okay, what would the licensing cost be and what not? So if they had a $56, they had all E5, which this company actually did. They had everything was in E5, which was like, wait a minute, do you really have 7,000 people doing E5? Wait a minute, hold on a second. So when I plug the numbers in here, basically, if I found 30%, I was going to find them $1.4 million in savings. Now you take a look at that cost that I had over here in the bottom left-hand corner of 217 out of 1.4 million, and you ask the question, are they going to say no to this? It's fantastic. Okay, and then we're basically here, it's 0.04%, 4.5% of the total licensing cost you're going to end up charging them. Now, you might be saying, well, wait a minute, that's a lot, but what if I did a 3 year agreement, right, on the left-hand side over here, and I did a 3 year agreement, and I did 50% profit margin, okay? Now, on the right-hand side, I'm going to just show you really quick. What's very interesting about this, it becomes 2.2% of the total licensing cost you're charging them to save them $1.4 million. Now, I will tell you this one thing. My meeting with them, explaining this and doing the demo to the fact where they said, yes, let's do the health check, took all of 16 minutes with the client. It was unbelievable. They're like, yes. And then the client tells me, hey, Sherman, I need to put you in front of the CTO, but I'm not going to invite the Microsoft or the Azure. And I'm not even talking Azure yet, but Microsoft and the Azure folks, because I want the CTO, can you send me a demo? I sent him a demo. He calls me back 2 days later and says, hey, Sherman, the CTO doesn't want to meet you. He just wants it done. Send me the MSA. Let's get it going. I'll do a 3 year agreement with you. So on this particular deal, okay, I did a 3 year agreement with them at 50% profit margin. I'm going to make $2,200 an hour on this deal for 3 years. Just think about that. Stupid, crazy. But this is really cool is that this really works like with an EA agreement, okay? A lot of times we can't do anything with EA agreements, right? But what you can do with this tool is you can reconfigure the EA agreement. What if they're overstuffed? What if they've got 300 Visio or 1,000 Visio license that somebody's overstuffed it? Well, let's reconfigure it, or let's do a true down at the end of the month. That's what I think is important here, is that we have an ability to go into it. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention to you, okay, is we do we do all of the Azure immersion workshops for Microsoft, right? For Microsoft US and Canada subsidiary. Last year, we had over 3,000 people come through the Azure immersion workshop. And we did one poll that told us just not frightening, but just the opportunity here. One poll was, how many of you use EA, pay-as-you-go, or CSP? And these are all SMC or corporate clients, right? Okay. And you know what the response was? 82% use pay-as-you-go. 82% on pay-as-you-go, which means they're not provided guidance. They probably provisioned it incorrectly. They're not using reserved instance, hybrid use benefit. They don't know joiners or leavers or something like that. So what I wanted to show you here really is that this tool here, which costs you $275 a month just to have the tool to be able to do these, can make you a just ridiculous amount of revenue and complement your current services and or what you're basically doing. You don't need to be a big Azure partner. You don't need to be a big Office 365 partner, but you could optimize in Office 365 and Azure. And the last thing what I really like about it, it gives you a security play where you can measure up the security, right, on Secure Score up to and bring in all the third-party costs, and then show if you were to maximize and optimize E5 or E3, you can get rid of 4 or 5 other redundant services that you have in there, basically creating even more revenue. So long story short, and I want to keep this brief because we've got a lot to go into, is how to make money with Surveil, right? You can make it, but there's other ISV solutions too. I'm not here just to beat this down on you, or not beat it down on you, but to say, hey, you got to do Surveil. But more importantly, there's a lot of great tools out there that can help you complement what you're doing, and I think Surveil is a great opportunity to do so. So with that being said, we're going to move into the next one, but I want to put up a quick poll to see if anybody wants any more information on this, and then Stuart will go ahead and just send out some quick information. We'll send you the demo on this one, and I'll go ahead. I think we can launch this. Just go ahead. I think we can do that. We're not going to publish who says what. Just feel free. Yes, no. I'm not sure how this works. Yes, but I want to learn more. Just go ahead and go ahead and do that there. Perfect. Okay. That being said, let's get into our next stage here, and we're going to get into is really just doing a brief overview, okay, of the actual the evolution of the partner program. So perfect. Okay, great. I think we are good. Let me just go ahead and change the camera here for 1 second. Stuart, maybe while I'm changing this here, what are successful partners that you're working with doing today with this tool?
Okay, interesting. So 2 things, if I can say 2 things. First, by far and away, the majority of our partners are using this to win new business. So using the health check approach that you talked about, especially as we're supporting that with something called Surveil Champion, which is an FTE resource that we put into our partners to help drive that process. But secondly, we're seeing a really recent trend in clients using our Azure module to provide PoE for PAL. So rolling it out across their entire Azure estate and securing the extra margin. So 2 very distinct areas of growth for us at the moment.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you very much, Stuart. All right, so we'll reach out to those who are interested. It's really fantastic. Let's go and get into the actual partner thing. So the evolution of the partner program, it's very interesting. I think we can talk about this a little bit. I think we all know that things have gotten a little long in the tooth, with silver and gold competencies. And I'll bring in the speakers here in just a moment to really talk about that, right? But Microsoft has made a big change, and we've also had NCE. So, I think sometimes, we have an opinion about, the manufacturer making all these changes, but I think sometimes if we push ourselves and we can see the benefits and the strategy behind it, I think we'll end up getting better. And one thing, the main thing here is going away is silver and gold competencies. If we break this all down, going away is silver and gold competency. Microsoft wants to simplify the programs, right? To have a new single-tiered solution, and it's called the solution partners. That's basically what's happening here. Their idea is that they want to deliver greater customer value. They want to invest in growth in new ways, and they want to help you with time to prepare. But a couple of these 2 things, simplifying the programs, I think I think it's gotten kind of crazy, and we all know that, right? The other thing that I saw in the past, 2 to 3 years, is we have a lot of partners, that can qualify relatively easy for silver and gold, and I think has really diluted the path. And there's another thing that has changed in the past 5 years is the technology, right? It's no longer SQL Server or just Microsoft Office. Now it's M365, it's Office 365, M365. The evolution of the Azure program from 5 core services to 20 core services and up to 4,500 subsidiary, tertiary, quad, or quintile services that are now being developed by ISVs. It's just the explosion of technology, right? No one partner can be everything to everyone. We do see some very, very large partners getting the certifications in all of them, but the majority of our partner base isn't above $10 million in annualized revenue, right? So they can't really do that. So, I think what Microsoft is doing, from my interpretation, is saying, hey, let's try to help our partners focus on certain solutions and get really good at it and really skill up to it. And that second bullet point of delivering greater customer value, I do believe that that's going to happen over time as our partners will become solution partners that have these advanced and intermediate certifications that really allow them to deliver better customer value. I think there's been a lot of deployments, major deployments for major organizations that have just blown up because the partners that were in there that said they had silver and gold were not that good, right? And I think that this is really going to help us kind of get it into there. So basically, you're becoming a solutions partner. That's the designation for the opportunity. We're making it, or not we, because I don't work for Microsoft, but I'm an advocate here. It's basically easily identifiable of what you do and how you do it. You're going to get these badges that talk about what you are, right? Customers want to work with partners who have a deep knowledge and expertise. Now, I don't know, that's a great statement. I don't know if that's exactly what they're thinking. However, I do believe that if you can demonstrate that, in a more organic way than say, yes, you definitely need people with better expertise, you're going to be able to do that. And I think that the designation will help separate you from the others. Also, if you understand what we're talking about today, I think this is a good way to create a new narrative of how you're focusing on specific solutions that are going to help you drive more revenue or help you be more reliable, right? Now, you can choose one or more solutions. It's interesting. I'm going to show you here in just a minute some screenshots that it applies to many different solutions. So if you have the revenue and data and AI or data or infrastructure, it can actually spread over. You can get multiple solution designations with some of the same cross-reference revenue attainment and customer ads. And then I think there's going to be new opportunities, because what this does is after you get the solutions partner designation, what we've been telling all the partners we manage about 25 partners right now in the United States, we're getting them all on advanced specializations. We knew this was coming 6 months ago, so we've been working hard on getting them advanced specializations, because that's the keys to the castle. Now, a lot of you don't know this, but in order to work with a Microsoft seller, or you're trying to get into the SMC or corporate enterprise sales, the sellers need to attach a partner to every deal. It's part of their commission structure, and they can only attach partners who have advanced specializations in co-sell ready solutions. If you're not co-sell ready and have advanced specialization, they can't work with you. That's pretty much the brass tacks of you. In certain cases they can, but their compensation is affected by it. So you have to think about that. So this is really important that we understand this and we move forward with it. So the basic here is their new holistic partner approach. It's really about scoring, okay? 70 to 100 points you have to get to attain the solutions expert. But if you break it down, and we've researched this up and through, it's really about skilling up your workforce. That's really what it comes down to. So the majority of you that have silver and gold competencies right now have the customer net ads, have the performance to really blow through this, but what you don't have is the certifications. And in the past, in silver and gold, gold platform, you needed to have Azure, fundamentals, right? And then you'd have one person with Azure admin, right, and one person with Azure architect. But in solutions, it's completely different, and I'm going to show that to you in a second. So on this screen, and you know me, I'm not a big PowerPoint guy, but I like to just kind of tell you about it. What's important here to look at is capability score. It's based on capabilities. performance, skilling, and customer success. Okay, usage growth, employment, deployment's important. Okay, you probably all meet that. Performance, net customer adds, I bet you all meet that pretty simply, but what you don't meet is the skilling, and that's intermediate certs and advanced certs. At the conclusion of this session, I want you to go into your partner center, I'll show you how, and you're gonna see this, and there's a really great tool here to help you kind of monitor where you're at, but we have 6 months to get this designation. Okay, so we're well ahead of the game, and it's really you have 6 months to get people in your org to go take those tests. Okay, some key dates that we have here, very important. March 16th, 2022, the Microsoft announced this. We announced this plan, now you can start checking progress, they rolled it out. And actually, considering the rollouts have been happening with NCE and some of the egg on our face with that one, this is actually coming out pretty cool. I spent an hour and a half with them kind of going through it, and I was like, wow, this is pretty interesting. September 30th, now this is a very important day. Okay, so many of you have competencies right now. Okay, maybe you have competencies that are renewing in the next few months. Now you have the ability to renew your current competencies, a silver or gold competency, up until September 30th, 2022. And when you do that, you will maintain your silver and gold competency benefits throughout the next year. But what you will not be able to do is on October 3rd is use your badge or display your badge anywhere in the Microsoft ecosystem. Now, it's interesting because I was told this, first thing that came to mind, somebody said, well, you're not gonna be able to display your badge. And I said, where? This is a free country. I can go and display my badge, but where are you telling me I can't, and who's the police that tell me I can't put it on my website? And they said, no, we don't mean to be adversarial about this, but what they're going to do is that you can't put your badge on anything inside the Microsoft network. So if you're, on your listings in co-sell, if you have a gold and silver competency, you will not be able to place that on those pages. So what they want you to do is get that solutions partner and then place those badges on the system. Okay, so that's just really important to understand there. So October 3rd, we can get those silver partner badge designations. Silver and gold goes away. What's interesting about this, though, is as I dug deeper, what I realized was it's like getting a gold certification. Okay, if you think about it, silver was just way too easy. I think that it needs to be a culling, I guess. But it's really getting a gold because if you look at the benefits that you're provided, if you get any one of these solutions programs, it really mirrors the gold, those gold benefits, right? How many IURs, how much Azure consumption, Visio licenses, server counts, all that. If you look at the actual benefits, it's about the same as gold. Very interesting, right? Very cool there. So these are the 3 key dates. Want to make sure that you understand. We're going to be posting a bunch of assets in here, including this deck in here for you to take home. And we'll also put it for those LinkedIn members, good information there. All right. And by the way, this is one of the best. We have over 500 partners this month. Wow, it's just amazing. I love it. It's really cool. So this is a snapshot of my tenant. Okay, now you're probably wondering, okay, Sherman, are you a partner? No, I'm not a partner. The Crancer Group is not a partner. However, we have a sandbox. But what's interesting about our sandbox is our sandbox meets the criteria to allow us to get digital app infrastructure. It's very something else. So when you go into your partner portal, you're going to go to home, you're going to hit membership, and on the middle left-hand side of this particular, you see it says solutions partner, you hit overview, and then you'll get this particular menu, okay? And what it's doing here is it's showing me that, okay, modern work, I got 0 out of 100, and that's totally plausible because we don't have any licenses that we bought through CSP, right? Data and app and innovation, but we have infrastructure, 40 out of 100 points. Great, so what I do is I click into the view details. Now, when you click into the view details, you're gonna be given another screen just like this. It's really awesome. So my net customer adds, as you can see, I'm 100% true to the word that we are not a partner. We only have one, and you know what that is? That's Azure Direct. That's our sandbox that we use for teaching, okay? So we have one net add. Great, I got 10 out of 30. If I put 2 more in, I got 30. Now, if you look at skilling, we have the 0. We have 2 people that haven't been added to this, actually 3 people, because they have the certifications. But we also have customer success. If you look at the bottom, look at 11 deployments, and our usage growth is 842%. I actually had to go back to make sure my Azure bill didn't go crazy, just because I was like, well, 843%, that might be, what am I spending, right? But now, what I'm going to show you here is where you have to actually hit, and that's where it says intermediate certifications. Okay, so if we go to intermediate certifications, so if I go back, right in the middle of the screen, okay, where it says View Requirements, okay, click on View Requirements. Now, what I'm going to show you here is for this. This is really interesting. Okay, look at where it says Intermediate Certification. It says Prerequisites. So in every one of the Azure ones, you need at least 2 people to have an Azure Administrator Associate certifications. They have 2 people that have Azure Admin, right? And then you start accruing points, right? And what we need here, right, we need to get 20 points, right? So we need to require 5. So now what we need to do is get somebody to get an Azure Network Engineer Associate cert, an Azure Stack Hub Operator Associate, or a Windows Server Hybrid Administrative Associate. Each qualifying individual is worth 4 points, up to a maximum of 20 points. So what you're going to end up having to do is you're going to go into the intermediate certificates and make sure that you're aligning with that. But now let's look at the next one. What about digital and app innovation? Remember, I scored on that too. So the same thing, the prerequisites are always going to be Azure Admin Associate, right? And then the next 2 are Azure Development Associate or Power Platform Developer Associate, right? So very interesting with that, right? But let's go ahead and click on Data and AI. Okay, so same thing. Once again, recurring thing, Azure Administrative Associate, but you need to get points for qualifying individuals certified in any one of the following, right? Azure Database Associate, right? Azure AI Engineer Associate, Azure Data Scientist Associate, Engineer Associate, Data Analyst Associate. So this is what we found out. And frankly, what I'd like to kind of just kind of touch on here, and I want to get quickly into the conversation, and I appreciate you guys listening to me and listening to me kind of brute pull this out here. It's really about intermediate and advanced certifications. And as you see in all 3 of these, the recurring theme is the Azure Admin, right? And then, but each one has a different set. So they're asking you to be more of a specialist inside to get these Partner Solution designations. Now, some of you have already gotten into Azure and getting advanced specialization, so some of those might come down here. But what we do have is we've got about 6 months to go ahead and put ourselves in a position where we can go ahead and get these things. So really, the last thing is that when you do go over to, I didn't put this slide in here, but when you go over to Home, Membership, and Overview, on the top right-hand corner, there's a little calculator that says, okay, where are you with your progress? It's really something else. It'll really help you with taking a look at it. Okay, so with that being said, that is my overview of this, and I want to get into Q&A. So one second, let me go ahead and switch gears here, and we'll actually get into the Q&A of this here. One moment. Let me get stop the share. Okay, and yeah, perfect. Okay, and we're right on time, so this is really fantastic. All right, just one moment. Okay, all right. So actually, this is going to be the first question for Jeff. Jeff, you're a director of partner development over at Stratus Cloud Alliance. What are you guys doing? As far as from your perspective to educate your partner base? And what would you do to just learn more? How would they contact your PDM? Could you just kind of give us a little bit of insight of how you're helping your partners?
Yeah, so what we're doing, we're obviously researching and following just like you. And Sherman, you've done a really great job breaking it down. I may ask you for the deck to help do that. But from a skilling standpoint, we do our monthly call. We try to keep our partners up to date with different highlights, different informations, trying to keep up with the pace of Microsoft. From a skilling standpoint, at least from a BizApp standpoint, we have in-depth training courses to help get our partners certified on the products. So we do a lot with Dynamics. So we provide the training courses to help people get up to the MBA 100 exam so that they can pass that. So there's some training that we make available there. Now, as we're getting the information, as we're distilling it, we do try to provide our partners with updates through our monthly call that we have. So we'll probably be sharing a few more updates on there. Last night, we actually posted a blog on the changes that are coming to the program on the Stratus Cloud Alliance website. And we provide access to the resources that Microsoft has made aware. So we feel it's our responsibility to help ensure that our partners can take advantage of this opportunity, or at least not lose anything from this transition. The biggest part that we talk about with our partners, the biggest thing with our partners is, we want them to help build a profitable business. And again, the CSP reseller incentives is really a critical element to that. So we try to keep them up to date with the next best steps, and then we have our partner development team to work with those partners that are truly interested in that area.
Sherman, you're muted.
Mr. Sherman,
Sherman, you're muted. As much as you look beautiful when you speak.
I thought Jeff just stunned him into silence.
All right. You can hear me now? Okay. Yeah. So Mark, and then we'll go to Peter here. Why do you think Microsoft is changing the program, or what is your opinion on this?
Yeah, I think you're right that, gold and silver is getting long in the tooth. Maybe some culling is needed. My guess is, I don't have any real evidence of this, that, Amazon and Google have the advantage of starting much fresher with their partner programs. And I think they need to keep up with even the feel of that program on both sides, partner and consumers. And then, for us, for the past 5 years, they've pushed, an industry focus, which was never going to work for us, to be honest. Where we're a security and compliance focused, MSP and partner. Yeah, this makes perfect sense.
Peter, what are your thoughts?
I'm less. I don't know if it makes perfect sense or not. I agree gold and silver don't have as much relevance in the space I play in, which is the SMB market. I've never won or lost a deal because I was gold or silver. I've never gone up against a gold partner that won because they were a gold partner. Not in my space. I'm just telling the facts on the ground. Now, Microsoft can change the program all they want to make things easier. Easier is always better. We live in a fast-moving world, so the simpler you can make things, I don't blame them for taking all these complexities and trying to make it simpler. You mentioned a point, though, Sherman, which is near and dear to my heart, which is when they made these new metrics, they were looking at a certain size partner. And I'm going to guess that 80% of the partners don't meet these new metrics. And so I would also agree with your statement that the new benefits, my team looked at it, the new benefits are better. Microsoft's absolutely right about that. They're better in a lot of measurable ways. The new benefits are better. But if 80% of the partners aren't qualifying for those new benefits, who cares? Like for me, the reason why we focus on getting silver and gold is because we use this technology stack internally. And so for us, if we are no longer qualifying, I know that they've promised for at least a year, these legacy benefits will be able to be purchased. Great.
Yeah.
What happens after that, though? So we were on a call Thursday with someone from Microsoft who said we have I forget how they phrased it. Basically, there was a somewhat of a loose commitment to ensuring that these legacy benefits will be here for the foreseeable future, but that's not really a written, defined thing yet. And then in the back of my mind, I say, well, if it just becomes like an Action Pack Deluxe, so you can just buy it, well, then what was the point of certifications in the first place if we can just buy our benefits? Because how are they going to tell I deserve to get the Action Pack Deluxe unless they're going to start measuring me again? So I qualify for the Action Pack Deluxe. So for me, the real concern here is whether Microsoft wants to evolve their programs, that's their choice. But there's a lot of partners out here who count on those internal use rights to run their business. And if we have to start paying for it, I'll be truthful, I'll start paying for it because I believe in the tools. I use the tools. The tools are impactful in my business to make me streamline and more profitable. So I'll pay for them if I have to. But it takes away money that I could be using to market, sell more, train up my people, get more customers, which is for the greater good of all of us, Microsoft, the customers, and me. So like I would hope they understand that giving us those IUR rights, yes, there may be a cost to Microsoft, but there's a huge benefit to Microsoft too, and for the channel. So sorry if I was a little bit long-winded there, but that's like, I honestly don't care about Microsoft's motivations. If they want to streamline things, I'm all for it. If they want to cut me out of their program, that's fine, but just let me know what I need to do to keep using that software internally. If I have to pay for it, I'll pay for it. I won't be happy about it, and it's just going to slow me down as a business owner. That's all it's going to do.
So that's a good point, and I love the comments I love the comments. David, I'm going to ask go to you next the same question, but I love the comments. I'm watching them pop up, seeing them, so thanks. Keep going. I will say this, and a lot of people are afraid to say some things, but I got to say it. I looked at the dynamics of the business applications solutions partner, and Microsoft keeps talking about wanting to have more Dynamics partners. Keep saying that. Oh, we got to have more Dynamics partners. Everyone's got to be a Dynamics partner. It's impossible to hit the bar that you're hitting for anybody to break into Dynamics unless you have at least $1 million that you're going to spend on, employing 8 or 9 different engineers. And I'm going to say that. Go back and look at those certifications, intermediate and certifications. It is 10 times what your silver or what your solutions partner for any of the other designations are. And if you're wanting net new people to actually sell Dynamics or get good at it, you got to lower the bar. It's too high. It's ridiculous. And I did find out that out of the top 100 partners, do you know how many partners are over $10 million in revenue in Dynamics? I don't know. 25 total, the whole United States. 25 total. That's it. Everyone else, phew. So you want to know, like you want to increase your Dynamics practice, we got to work on helping more partners get in there. So the solution is to lower the bar a little bit, let people get in. Peter?
Can I do a follow-up here? So I know a lot of people focus on the certifications, which I agree with you. I don't have 20 people on staff, so I'm not going to max out my certification count. But for the record, I did 33 deals last year of Dynamics, and this year I'm probably tracking to do 50. Of those 33 deals last year, only 5 would count as the new customer metric because they're so small. They don't hit the $1,500 a month workload threshold. So it's like my business doesn't matter to Microsoft. I know that's not true. And some people are negative. I get it. I see Microsoft as changing because they want to keep things interesting. I don't begrudge them that. But I think they missed the mark there, and they didn't look at partners like me because there's a lot of partners like me that are making an impact, but we just aren't hitting those metrics as they've been defined right now.
Yeah, in my opinion, that's the biggest miss. David, let me ask you, what are your thoughts on this?
So it's interesting. I've spent the last 6 months now, 8 months on the ISV side of the world. So I think it's a little different play on the ISV side than on the partner side. Definitely agree. Dynamics partners, spent the last 12 years there. I was in those sub 10 million, sub $100 million partners. I was in those bottom 85 partners, not of the top 100. So it was very difficult, very hard to exist even in the current programs that were there. They were just never friendly. So again, I agreed with everyone that has spoken already. I do think that, Microsoft's going to move their cheese. They're going to do what is needed. I do, as an ISV though, we're split across other ERPs. So our focus, our talent that's really committed to the Microsoft side is much smaller. We have over 500 employees as an organization, but on our dev side and the people that are actually going to get certified, that's going to be a real challenge for us. It always has been, and it's going to continue. The other thing is how we attach to deals. We can't go with depower all the time. There's conflicts as an ISV because there's already a partner involved in that. So there's first to the deal type of things that happen, and so for us to actually attach ourselves to revenue is also incredibly difficult. So as we continue to go through our options, it's almost like our Azure spend, and other things that are completely irrelevant to us being a Dynamics Biz Apps ISV, we're not going to be able to continue to have, meet those achievements. We're going to do everything possible to do it. We've done it before. It's always been hard as an ISV to fit in where do you fit as a silver or gold anyway? Without it, it's going to be incredibly expensive. Just like, Peter, you've got a smaller organization, so that lift proportionally is probably the same proportionally, but as you expand, that gets much more expensive. I always joked that there were partners like us that were influencers. We make Biz Apps solutions stickier by adding the VersaPay solution. I always wanted to be called like the purple partners. There was never a designation. We used to joke about people that just drove licensing but didn't sell licensing, at the end of the day, but their solution was all around it. Why couldn't there just be this unique categorization? And maybe it's an advanced specialization called ISV. I don't know. They've changed the ISV program significantly over years. ISV Connect's a great program to be in, and there's lots of benefits there. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be really challenging for us to do it. We're going to fight and make it happen as best as we can, mainly because of the IURs. The other thing is there's a lot of attachments that are benefits, like things like a partner development manager. You have to be a managed, you have to be a managed partner. You have to have a gold certification. There's, listings and promotions in the GTM programs that for AppSource and ISV Connect that require you to have gold certification. So it's not so much that we're chasing it to save some money. It's really for our go-to-market strategy that is limited because you're no longer possibly there's discussions. You might not be a preferred solution in AppSource anymore, which we fought very hard for over time.
David, I did hear, from a very trusted, confirmed source. We know a lot of people. We're connected to people that actually the ISV, there will be something coming out for ISVs that will help you out, actually. And I'm really, really excited about it. I actually did a double take. I was like, wait, hold on a minute. Let's go back. What did you just say? And that they are working on that for ISVs. We have to, because you're right, that is saying, Paddle is a great thing to use, right? If you're influencing ACR, but that's only ACR. What if you're influencing biz apps? Well, how do we measure against that? So let me ask you, I'm going to throw this out to the group. We'll start with Mark, maybe. What is an anxiety that you have about this, or maybe an anxiety, maybe a partner anxiety, or what you've heard surrounding maybe a lot of changes that have been happening? I don't know. Could you maybe share some thoughts on that, and then we'll go around?
Right. While their press release said that, you still get to keep your benefits, you get where Peter's coming from. Remember, what was it, 4 years ago now? I don't know, the last show we had in Las Vegas where they threatened to take away all the IUR benefits, and they had to walk it back as the first thing they said in the live event of that week. This kind of smells like that. They're not saying it is yet, but it smells like that. And we're 180 people. I would hate to lose that IUR, those benefits. But we're going to go for the partner program and the cloud partner program and the advanced specializations. So hopefully keep everything safe and achieve the better benefits there. So
that's an important. That is an anxiety. That is. Jeff, from your perspective, from Stratus Cloud Alliance, your distributor, what comes to mind, with all these changes? Any anxieties that you'd like to share, or things that you're trying to help solve for partners?
There's a lot of different activities that are happening with this. One of the big ones that we're trying to do is just trying to understand which partners are going to be impacted, right? We have a number of partners within our ecosystem that are silver and gold, and many of them are going to lose this. And part of being a silver and gold partner with Microsoft, you get access to great programs, Pi experiences, those types of things. Those are initiatives and activities that they're not going to be able to participate in anymore. And that's why we're trying to get creative and working with partners and organizations like yourself to help maximize some of the funding that's available to help partners grow through partnership, right? So those are some activities that we're working on to help get them prepared for these changes, and just trying to make sure that they are following the right steps that they can qualify to stay qualified.
That's great. We had a great question that came out here, and thank you, Jeff, about how you're motivating employees to get certs. I'm gonna get to that one because I think that's really important. But I want to get to Peter and David here, just about what anxiety do you have about this program, or what have you heard? Peter, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I do most of my business is partner to partner, so I have my own pool of 6 dozen partners I talk with, and I'm going to say the number one thing I'm hearing is, honestly, it's a little bit of a relief knowing, like, once you look at these requirements, most of the partners I work with aren't going to hit the metrics. So Sherman, I hate to say it, it almost disengages them, so they don't need to focus on it anymore, because we're all business owners. You don't get very far as a business owner by focusing on the negatives. You got to focus on what you can do and impact your customers and grow your business, right? So in some ways that's liberating, but the internal use rights, the access to some of these special programs that you need to be currently silver or gold, that hurts partners, because again, it slows us all down. We all want the same thing. Microsoft wants this too. I know a lot of partners have expressed antagonism towards Microsoft, or the feeling that Microsoft has antagonism towards the channel. I don't agree with that. I think that just someone missed the mark here. It's a big tent. Microsoft supports a lot of different channel partners. I think they just had a whiff. They just missed the mark here with these smaller partners. I'm hoping they'll take another at-bat here and adjust these things. But if not, they just need to tell us what the legacy benefit program is, so we can all at least keep using the software to grow our businesses. That's really what I'm hearing around the uncertainty and the concern.
I remember the good old days of Cindy Bates' organization, where they really focused on SMB. There was a real, there was a lot of support for SMB, 3 different GMs, different PDMs that were doing. And the new organization, when Cindy basically, when they changed over, they was focused on the top 10% that are doing 60% of the business, and not really giving. We've lost a lot of power, a lot of partners that to that, because you're kind of lost in what to do. David, what are your thoughts? Anxiety.
I'm with some great peers on this panel, and there's not a lot more that I can say that differs from them. There, for us internally, it's another program group that we need to put together to distract us. It's noise that we don't want to deal with, that we have to focus on the next 6 months and figure out how we're going to achieve it. It's just a diversion and attention distraction for us. A lot of our 12 and 24-month plans are based on the benefits that we're getting, the program. It's not really benefit. I call it the attaching to the programs that are available, learning about the new programs that are available for partners like us, and see where we can help go to market. At the end of the day, it could cost us more money, infrastructure-wise. It's not about that. It's really about that commitment to partnering. We're looking to co-sell together. We're looking to be part of those conversations and those programs, and I think it's going to be a challenge. My last 12 years being in IMCP has always been the voice of the small partner. At the end of the day, I remember 4 years ago when the threat of pulling IURs came out, and IMCP got together and put a chain, meetings and letters together, and Microsoft turned around on a dime and made it. And I think we really need to be vocal. At the end of the day, we were excited when Business Central got added to scorecards. We were excited to start to see some of the small SMB stuff get focused on the sellers. And now all of a sudden it's like, hey, what about the partners that are involved in those type of things? So I think the calls like this are good. Again, squeaky wheel gets attention at the end of the day. Microsoft operates that way. If they continue like this, we'll support it. We're a committed partner at the end of the day, but it's not going to be easy. Good.
So there was a question. Dylan, do you have a hand up? I want to answer the question about motivating employees, but Dylan, what's up? You're on mute, Dylan. So Dylan's our superstar that we just hired out of UC Irvine, data science. This kid is so smart. Holy Moses. Go ahead, Dylan.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Sherman. Your continual support is really amazing. I just want to say first and foremost, that first question that you brought up about the motivation, I want to bring that up because I think that's a super important part that I want to highlight. So I'm glad you already noticed that. Number two, I just want to say, as someone who's been observing and watching this presentation, I really enjoy and appreciate our guest speakers for today. They've been doing an amazing job, getting a lot of love in the chat. So just wanted to tell you all about that as well. So I want to thank the guest speakers. And then the final thing, Sherman, was that some people wanted a walkthrough or a click-through of the Surveil tool. So maybe afterwards, once we finish up the discussion about all this, maybe if we have some extra time afterwards, we can do a little click-through or walkthrough for Surveil, because I'm seeing a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, actually, no, if you want to stick on after we're done here in about 7 minutes, I'm going to go a couple more minutes over it. I'll do actual demo for you. And it's pretty neat. I have to tell you, you'd be like, holy Moses. Yeah, how does that really, wow. So yeah, no problem. So let's talk about the certs here. So we do a lot of guidance on this. We actually have a training module for people, but we just been given for free right now because it's so important to learn. What I would do is I would tell your folks that look, there's a lot of changes. Microsoft has made some changes. We need to get certs. We have 90 days, and what I would do, or not 90 days. You can give them 90 days, but what I would do is I would give them two different certs. And you got 60 days to do it. Day 1 to 30. You put them through the program. You pay for Udemy. Udemy is great because they have the practice tests. Okay, this is how we do it with all. Test a day. Week 2, you're taking 2 tests a day. Week 3, you're taking 3 tests a day. Week 4, 4 tests a day. You're passing it. You give them a management by objective bonus, $1,500, or $2,000 to get it, and then you repeat that cycle. Now it's hard to motivate, especially if the inmates run the asylum, and that happens. I see that all the time. I go into partners, and the leadership are like, "Dude, I can't get anyone to do this. I can't get the salespeople to do this. How do we do this?" But I think what we need to do is take a hard line on that. We need to say, look, things have changed. We can't sit on our laurels. But also the other thing too is there's probably 200 different line items that you need to become expert.
Uh-oh, Sherman.
You froze.
We're this is Dylan.
So there we go.
It's going to help them, with just increasing their knowledge base, but they're going to be more attractive. I mean, that's the problem, though, right? You don't want to make your employees so attractive. The next thing you know, they get a cert, and then they get a $60,000 offer raise from somebody, right? Because that is definitely happening. All right. Say again. Okay. All right. Let's see. So the cost of the designation is $4,700. It's gold. It's gold cost. Does that, Jeffrey, Jeff, what do you think? Do you think that's going to be a big differentiator with this? The cost?
Shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, right? I mean, it's not going to affect you. David, what do you think?
Nope. No.
Yeah. You pay it one time, right? And then you can get the different solutions and stuff. And Peter.
No, I don't think the costs matter one bit because the benefits are so high. It's you get what you pay for. It's a great value. It's not the costs that are the problem.
Okay. And Mark, I'll give you the last one here.
Yeah, I mean, the cost definitely not an issue. It's getting enough people lined up and motivated to complete all the exams in time.
That's going to be the thing, right?
And actually, I don't know if maybe you were speaking to that because you were breaking up quite a bit. But, is there a special, besides, what's available in Partner Center, is there some unique tool that helps manage the individuals you're lining up to complete these various exams?
No, there really isn't. We have a little we actually have a calendar that we actually break it down for the actual rep who's doing it, and we basically say, okay, module 1, 2, 3, 4. So the whole thing is in week one, right? They go through the learning path, and then the main thing, and the way I always took tests was you just take repeat tests, right? You get all the practice tests, you keep taking them, and the answers, what we talk. So we go to Udemy and we pay $60 per certification for their practice tests in whatever they're looking for, and that's how our employees here at the Crancer Group, we've got 12 now, believe it or not, are all getting all their certifications, and it's an easy way to kind of manage them through that month. You can extend it if your people don't want to do it very well, but you can say 90 days. But that's how I would do it. I would certainly throw an MBO in there, but just want to let you know. Okay. With that being said, I want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the speakers here. I think we could probably go another half hour or an hour on this. But thank you very much for your time. One last thing we actually wanted to kind of just quickly talk about, and that's our partnership with Stratos Cloud Alliance and their folks. And let me go ahead and just do a share here. One moment. Let me go back to my screen. There we go. Okay, and then back to there. So if you're a Stratos Cloud Alliance partner that have come in here, we have an immersion program that we're actually helping out quite a bit. And basically, we're using the partnership with Stratos Cloud Alliance to actually conduct marketing events where we're driving our, we do what's called customer immersion experience events, hands-on labs, and we're driving all of the attendance for our partners. One of the biggest problems for our partners is they can't get people to one-to-many events. Well, we do. We do this at scale. We do about 18 sessions a month right now. Each session gets about 36 registrants, about 15 attendees, and we typically get about 4 or 5 polls or intent polls. You know, they tell us what they're working on and what they're doing. So we actually have done a deal with Stratos Cloud Alliance. So if you're working with Stratos Cloud Alliance or you're looking for them to be a distributor, contact Jeff. And Jeff, I'm going to bring you on here last moment if you're still available to maybe kind of just talk about, in your opinion, you know, what is the benefit of our partnership?
Thank you, Sherman. You know, it's really a great service what the Crancer Group provides to our Stratos Cloud Alliance partners. And you know, one of the biggest challenges that we hear from our partners is the ability to market. Right? They don't necessarily have all the resources. They don't have the people, the time to be able to try to drive and develop leads and work those. So through the customer immersion experience and leveraging different aspects, there's some delivery things that we can do to help with education and training from that side. But what is really cool about the Crancer Group and what they're helping our partners get engaged with is helping them identify their targets, and then they're actually driving the attendance for our partners to be able to work those leads and close. And if it's a new business area that they're getting into, that's where our specialty comes in, where we're able to help deliver the full stack. So for each one of these specific, any of the partners that kind of run through this, we're leveraging Velocio in our Gold program to be able to help secure additional funding for your marketing activities. This is a pretty significant investment into our partners, and we just need to make sure that we find the right ones who want to truly qualify, the ones who are able to follow up. So we definitely want someone with at least a solid dedicated marketing or a sales type person to be involved with the program. We've also trained up Kevin on our partner enablement team to help make sure that we can help ensure that we can secure the funding for these marketing programs to help our partners' businesses grow through the Crancer and the partnership. Hopefully, I didn't know how much time we had. I know that we're running over.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? I think I had a little. Thank you again, Jeff. Really appreciate it. And just thank you, everyone, for coming to Voice of the Microsoft Partner. We really do appreciate it. So many of you have actually just asked, or there are some of you that asked us to do a quick demo on Surveil, and I'm going to show it to you really quick. So let me go ahead and do this. I got Stuart on here. He's going to help me with this as well. A little bit impromptu. He's like, wait, I was supposed to do that too. So cool. So basically what I want to show you here is I went to ussurveil.co, and let me just go back. And basically I'd sign in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my demo company. So as you have this tool, okay, you're going to be able to go in here, you go into the company. It takes 5 clicks. This is so cool. You go to US Surveil, the customer will click on it. And when they click on it, they'll provide access to it. And then what we do is we run it over 3 weeks. Stuart, do you want to kind of maybe give a quick intro into it, and then I'll make it look a little bit prettier.
Yeah. So what Sherman's talking about there is essentially the health check program. So the health check program is targeted both for new clients and for your existing clients to really position that initial optimized play. So to find the big story that can get you either into that new customer or get you into that managed service discussion with your existing customer. And as Sherman said, it's a very quick onboarding. We then extract the data in a read-only manner, and we churn that data for 3 weeks to get to a high degree of accuracy for the findings that we then report back.
Perfect. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm going to show you on my screen, if you guys can still hear me. I think I'm a little bit.
Yeah, we can hear you. Oh, having said that, now you've got quiet.
Azure, we go over to where it says overview. So when we click on overview, and this is after 3 weeks of sitting down, we'll be able to go into the overview, and it's going to give us 2 different pages. Now, this is being used on Power BI embedded, right? So the very first thing we get a look at is it's going to give us an overview of how many subscriptions they have in Azure. What is the total Microsoft Azure cost to date, the total of resource category, but we can also see what are the top machines by meter category. These are the virtual machines, Power BI embedded. We can hover over this and really see some really great information about it. We can see our total spend per year and also our total cost by subscription. It's very interesting, right? But then we can even go down here, we can go to cost summary. And cost summary is very interesting because what it's going to do is going to take a look at all of the different things that are actually costing you, virtual machines, Power BI embedded, security center, right? These are your highest costs, Power BI embedded, application gateway. We can go specifically into resource groups if we want to see what are the biggest resource groups, what are the changes between the periods that we're watching it, what are our costs by months. We can actually start monitoring, and we can really go into this. And I'm going to tell you, there's about 25,000 reports in here. But what I really want to show you is what we would actually show the customer. So we know all this stuff. But what we would do is we would go over to the overview here. Okay, or recommendations, I'm sorry, go over to recommendations and go to the summary. So after 3 weeks, we're going to sit in front of the actual client. Now this is a small demo environment. Okay, now watch this. This is lights out. This is just. So the very first page, when we get into the overview, okay, it's going to tell us reserved instances. You have 13 reserved instance recommendations. Now, this is where we find the biggest savings when we are talking to pay-as-you-go customers. 13 reserved instance recommendations, 23 targeted resources. Look at zombie resources. Wait a minute, there's a bunch of abandoned disks. A lot of our test dev, oh my gosh, right? A lot of our test dev people leave stuff on or they provision the wrong thing. The next is hybrid use benefit. How many machines can we use for the hybrid use benefit? Or top 3 storage costs. How many SSD managed disks were provisioned? And there's another thing that we find a lot of test dev environments do these managed the managed disks, and that's a big problem. But let me show you. So if we click over here, you can click into like zombie resources, right? Gives you a recommendation story. But what I like to show customers is this overview. Now in this overview, now you can say, oh, look at this, reserved instances. If I could use reserved instances, I can save, and this is an eye test, $1,100, but hey, give me the details. Now you know what it does? It gives you all the details. What's going on? Okay, now let me go back. Let me go back to this. Wow. And then you have idle services. Look at idle services. It'll come up here in a second. Come on. And you now know what are idle, what you can turn on and turn off. It's really fantastic. Great tool. Now, 2 things here. So if you can conceptually understand this. Now, remember I told you I can make $2,200 an hour? To the client. 1 hour before, 1 hour afterwards. Holy smokes, right? Now let me show you this. Let's go to Office 365. I'm going to go over to overview again. So the cool thing about this, read-only access, but it's going to go ahead and find out everything that has to do with. We're going to go to recommendations later, but this is getting a little slow. Come on. Boom. Okay. This is in 8 countries with 329 accounts, right? 311 are enabled. 89% have been active in the last 30 days. We can go to how many people have joined or left the company. We can measure all this. Now, remember when I talked about that 7,000 seat? Do look at the licenses specifically. Well, what licenses do you have, right? Oh, wait, look at this. We have 365 E3 enabled, 3 Dynamics enabled, right? Active users. Holy smokes. But now let's go to recommendations, because that's where the rubber meets the road, right? This is what you would show your customer. So as you can see up here, potential savings per year, 8,000 up here in the left-hand corner, impacted items or recommendations. But look at this. Go to summary. Now I have, okay, users which are not active on any all of the different licenses, okay, that I can fix, right? Users that are disabled but still have 1 or more 365 licenses assigned, don't have any documents on OneDrive or SharePoint, review and project review or Visio licenses, but we can set this up to get as granular as we want to. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you here is the security assessment, and this is where Microsoft Secure Score that Microsoft has, and also that are in there. So I'll show it to you when this comes up. One moment. Okay, come on. Oh man, I gotta refresh this. Hold on a second. Okay, perfect. Oh, look at this. This is the cool thing here. Okay, so we start out with 52% secure score, right? And it says, well, if we optimize our environment, we have 91% here. Okay, and so what I want to show you is it gives you security at a glance. Office 365 environment, right? And see if we have conditional access policies, insider threat and data leakage, which will be here in just a moment. So you see that 19 conditional access policies, 98% insider threat data leakage, managing devices, you get a full report, right? But then it actually able to detect all of the third-party licenses that you have inside of here. These are the third-party licenses. It says, wait a minute, you're probably double paying here. So you can go into license management and actually click in to see what would, if I turned on E5 compliance, what would that mean, right? What would I do? But then the last thing that I really like here is the investment returns. And this is where you can show your clients and we get rid of those other things that we don't need. We can save you $122,000 and then use this to get a full view. Okay, so let's see. Seth had a question here. One moment. Seth, full view of your tenants. Okay. For the health check. Okay. You can get that tool and then you can run this across be managed, all their licenses, then you can charge them a monthly fee, but there's a cost to that license. But the cool thing here is you can connect this, inside of your portal and just run it cleanly with all of your clients that are inside of your CSP tenant thing. Yes, Eric, perfect. Okay. Any other questions that I missed?
No, I was trying to. I was kind of trying to mop them up as you were going, Sherman.
Okay.
You did amazingly well considering you were glitching out a lot of the time there. So yeah, thanks for doing that. I mean that last set of screens that Sherman showed there, that will also give you. It really gives you a good example of how we're developing the product. So we're looking to constantly make it simpler, so that the this kind of journey approach for account managers and not necessarily having to rope in heavily qualified license specialists to help them go out and have those initial conversations with customers. That's why we see this as a kind of sales tool as well as an analytics tool. But brilliantly demoed, Sherman. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, now how I look at it, remember back to the making money piece of this, okay, is any customer, that net new customer that you're trying to win, you say, hey, can I show you a tool? And if they say they're on pay-as-you-go or EA, right, you're like, great, like in your mind, great, because I know I'm probably going to find 35% savings. Okay, and you say, hey, look, we got a great tool here, it's read-only access, can I go ahead and run it? Then you come back, you look like a hero, right, being able to do this. Now, you can also run it against your current client base if you want to, but, and then the other thing too is for EAs, I think any customer you're working with the EA that you don't get any licensing revenue, you run this tool inside the EA and you're like, hey, you got a lot of wastage here. Let's reduce these licenses you're not doing anything with and take that money and reinvest it into Azure consumption or Office 365 consumption. That's how I'm thinking. I'm always trying to think about how do we actually make money off of these things, right? This is how you do it. So anyways, let's see if there's any last questions.
I was just answering Seth's one about client-facing reports. I mean, basically all the reports that you see here, you can turn into client-facing reports. We've also got, we've kind of distilled those down into a C-level dashboard as well. But essentially you can configure as much or as little of this to be facing your customers as you like. Some of our partners use Surveil as their customer portal, predominantly to feed back the information that they choose that they want to feed back to the end customer.
Yeah, and the cost of the tool is $275 a month just to have do the health checks. Now, if you're going to do management of a client, then there's a cost to run that tool on a monthly basis. But health checks, that's what you want to do. You run it for 3 weeks, you get a report, you're like, great. Now we've got to figure out how do we make money on that report, right? Because it could be where it's a small client and you're just like, okay, I'm going to do 30% of whatever I save you one time because that monthly cost is too expensive. They're not big enough client to really amortize that monthly cost, right? But that's how I would do it. So there's a lot of opportunity here. What we will do is we're going to send everybody here a copy. I did a great demo on YouTube that's 13 minutes long that doesn't have any glitches that you saw here.
Yeah.
And then we'll send you a link to Stuart will do follow-ups. So if you just let me know you're interested in learning more, you'll be talking with Stuart directly. He's in the UK, but they're coming to the US. So
yeah, my boss is coming to the US next week. So keep him busy. Keep him busy. He'll come and see you.
Very cool. Everyone, well, hey, thanks so much, everybody, for coming today. Really appreciate it. Thanks for staying on longer. I hope you guys got something out of this. We really do appreciate the monthly thing. It's always the last Friday of the month. And thank you. And sorry if we send too many emails. We don't mean to, but we're not trying to sell you anything either. So we're just asking you to come to this show. That's all we want to do. All right, everyone. Thanks again for your time today. Have a great afternoon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. End meeting. Oh wait, I'm gonna stop recording.